This is Ayman Khan here for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. With me to talk boxing and, of course, an update on his career is the towering light heavyweight talent, gentleman John Hedges. John, first of all, how's life treating you?
Yeah, keeping well, thank you. Just ticking over, enjoying the heat. But no, to be fair, I've been in the gym since we fight. I boxed about 7 weeks ago now, and I suppose I've been back in the gym about 5 weeks. So been in keeping in shape, keeping ticking over, and picking up on new things. It's a learning time for me now, so it don't hurt me being in the gym without a date sometimes, and just ticking through it.
John, I had a trawl through your Instagram just to check through what you've been up to, and you've been up to quite a lot outside of boxing as well as training. One of the first things that struck me was a visit or a picture that you had with the one and only Sugar Ray Leonard. And meeting him, you're talking about training and learning from people. Did you get to have an opportunity to pick the brain of Sugar Ray Leonard?
Yeah, do you know what? I got offered it. I'm with a talent agency called All Star Talent Group, and they gave me the opportunity, and they was like, "You and a +1." My dad's a big boxing fan, so it was like I couldn't really turn it down. I only found out on like 3-4 hours notice, so we flew straight down there. It was in London. Went to meet him, and it was absolutely brilliant. To be fair, he's definitely a legend, and the stories he told it's invaluable because he's lived everything. He's gone through the ups, gone through the downs, and what I didn't know about Sugar Ray is he actually had like 5 years he had out of the ring where he went through a bit of a bad time in his life and he was doing things he probably shouldn't have done, but then he made a return as well. So didn't know them things. It was nice to pick up on it.
You're also doing a bit of a football match for a charity was
Yeah.
that you were doing as well. What happened there too?
So yeah, it's like a celebrity charity football match. The person who puts it on, Kevin Cooper, he's a good friend of mine, and he asked me to come down to one game, and then played half all right, played 2 games, played 3 games, and then just kept it going. But do you know what? It was fitness. I'd like to say it was after my fight. I was enjoying it. I weren't getting too involved in the dirty challenges, and it was nice. It was just nice to mix with top people and build new contacts and marketing yourself and picking up new people for another day. And it's good to get out there.
Centre back, striker, what are you?
Centre back, big centre back with a big head on me. Can't really do much with my feet, but I can get a ball if it's in the air. Do you know what I mean?
John Terry, Harry Maguire, what are you like on the football?
I don't know. I was trying to think of someone terrible then, but I can't really think of that.
I'm sure you're just as good at football if you're getting picked for those games. So let's have a reflection back on your last fight. You were, of course, out on the Boatsy Richards Bill last out there. Just tell me how you feel your performance went.
I think, to be honest with you, I believe I'm getting better each fight, especially going back from my first, my second. I kind of look at my second and third fight and see where I was at there, where in my head I was performing at a real good level, and I thought I was probably not mastering, but like I thought, oh, that was a good shift. And now looking back at them, I'm just seeing how much I've improved since then as well, because in my head I boxed very well then, but I think I've come a level again. Last 2 fights have been stoppages. The last one was a nice show reel stoppage, so it wasn't like a flurry of shots. He was gone, which was, for me, it's showing that I'm getting stronger, showing that I'm getting me better manpower and my developing's happening. And it was a good performance. He was an undefeated fighter. Nice to get my first undefeated out the way with, and move on now.
John, as a fighter, do you look specifically for those kind of highlight reel stoppages or finishes? You got the first one at the start of 2022, and then you've followed up with this next one in your most recent outing. So as a fighter, is that something you're specifically looking for in fights?
I think that the main thing with me is kind of a little bit under the radar at the minute, obviously being young and taking the right fights at the right time. So I think if you can put them sort of performances in and make a statement through a knockout, you're kind of getting higher up on the card. Like my last 6 fights all been televised on DAZN and Sky Sports, my first couple, in great arenas, but I'm quite early on. So getting that show reel knockout gets you mentioned higher up on the show. Like people are like, oh, did you see earlier on the big knockout from Hedges? And I think the more I can do that, the more my name gets out there, the more I get noticed, the bigger fights can happen.
That, of course, you've been doing the business in the ring, and you've obviously been making Eddie Hearn happy. You and him have agreed to have an extension on your deal with Matchroom. You and Eddie, must both be really happy.
Yeah, I was. To be honest with you, I always wanted to stay with Matchroom. They've treated me well since my first fight, second fight, all the way through, and put me on some massive shows. And I think loyalty is a massive thing. And if you can happen to be loyal and treat fair both sides of the deal, it's even better. And Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, Matchroom Boxing, everyone there, they couldn't have looked after me no better. And I'm with the best, I believe. So I think that's where I see my career going with them boys and that team, and sky's the limit.
Yeah, you've had these 6 rounders now, and you've been doing well in them. So if you were to plan out the rest of your 2022, what would be your goal for the end of the year when you reach it?
I've got next fight a 6 rounder, and then that's me done with 6 rounders. I'm moving into 8s. I won't have too many, please God. I have 2 or 3, and then we push into bigger fights. And the main thing, though, I don't want to rush my career. I want to take my time, being only 20. I still got a long while till I'm 21 yet. But by the time I'm pushing on to them second and third 8 rounders, I'll be coming up for 22. And then that's where I really see being the big threat I want to be. I think 22 years old, I'll be that much more developed, and that'll be where I'm making a proper statement.
Yeah, we've been training under Mark as well. Mark had some recent additions actually to the gym in the form of Elle Brook and Ebony Bridges as well, who come quite recently. Elle was out and she won a boxing debut, as it were, last weekend. What has Elle kind of brought in terms of a boost to the gym?
No, Elle's a real good girl. Like she's a great personality and a great hard trainer, to be fair with you. And obviously she's doing the TikTok, and she's not a professional boxer, but it meant nothing. She wasn't one of them ones what I don't know what you say, if I asked about sort of thing. She come in there, she trained hard, she grafted, she mixed with everyone, and she's got a great following. So all of that put together, she made a good establishment and a good person in the gym. We all get on, and I thought she boxed really well for her first fight, her first time in a ring. She got the win every round, shutout victory. I think it's gave her the bug now. I think she wants to have another fight. I think she wants to go again.
We talked about you potentially, having your next fight out, but I saw a poster, and the poster was John Hedges and Jake Paul.
You know the Jake Paul fight. Everyone wants it, don't they? Let's be honest. I'd be stupid sitting here saying I didn't want that fight, but it creates a good bit of hype. People who don't know boxing, I swear to you this now, like I feel a bit stupid putting things on there sometimes about that, because is it going to be realistic? Maybe not. But walking down the street where I'm from, like literally, people don't know about me. It's not like I'm not a massive name yet, but I swear to you, going down to my local town, Bishop Stortford, everyone was talking, all the little ones, oh, you're fighting Jake Paul, you're fighting Jake Paul. It created like a good bit of talk, and that's probably the most I've been talked about ever, is from that silly poster. So it definitely opens doors, and Jake's got a mad following. Let's be honest, everyone knows who he is. So I was just putting myself in the picture, and he called it out. He said, and he won under 10 fights, and I fit the bracket. So yeah, it was just one of them things.
Let's stick on Jake Paul, because you're one of the younger crop of boxers, so it's more kind of your generation with things. What have you made of Jake as a fighter, and then this new step to now face what's called a legitimate boxer in Hashim Rahman now? What have you made of Jake's transition into boxing and this next step to fight a boxer?
Well, you know what? Everyone's saying about Jake, and he's cheated. He's only got where he's got because of his name, but you've got to kind of take your hats off to him, because he's not really cheating the grind. He fights pretty well, mate. I'll be honest with you. I think he's not that bad, what everyone makes him out to be. I think he can fight. He can have a go. Don't get me wrong, he's no world beater, but he isn't also terrible. Like he's grafted. He's obviously got the money. He's got the fame, but he's still putting the graft in. So, sort of thing, like fair play to him, and good luck on the fight. And I think, to be honest with you, it looks like he sparred this Hashim. What's his name again? Sorry.
Hashim Rahman Jr.
Hashim Rahman Jr. And I know Hashim Rahman is a pro, and he's got 13 fights, 12 fights, but I think Jake Paul knows enough about him. He wouldn't have took the fight. He's not stupid. He's not going to go in there to get beat. He's worth too much money. So I can see Jake Paul probably knocking him out, and it'd be a bit of a weird knockout like all the others. But I reckon that's going to be the result.
John, I was speaking to some people over the weekend, and we were discussing about kind of this YouTube side of boxing, and Elle kind of came into the discussion as well, because what Elle has done with her TikTok stuff is she's come to a legitimate boxing trainer, esteemed boxing trainer in the form of Mark Tibbs, and got training from Mark, whereas some of these other people have these type of fights. They don't go to boxing trainers, which I think is quite strange in a way. Why do you think that those side of people haven't gone in to grab actual proper trainers to train them for boxing fights?
If I'm honest with you, I went to the TikTok event where Elle Brook boxed, and if you just look at the undercard, it's not disrespecting no one, and hats off to anyone that gets in the ring, but you could tell who took it serious and who actually wanted to win and put a bit of time into their work, because Elle grafted, and I think it showed on her performance. You could see that she had a bit of style to her. She was shaping up correctly. You could tell the work she's been doing with Mark, where there were some people in there. It was like a chicken fight. They didn't have a clue. They was blindfolded, just throwing swingers. And I think the main reason why some people are doing it is because they don't want to commit. Being trained by a professional boxer or a professional boxing coach, you've got to commit like anything. We're not going to... Mark Tibbs especially, he's one of the most harshest but realistic coaches. He won't have no one who's going to come in that gym to mess about. And I think that's why we all respect Mark so much, because he dedicates his time to us. And I'll be honest with you, he gets emotionally invested. He's proper. If you're one of his fighters, you're one of his fighters. And I think Elle realised that, and she looked around herself and she realised that we was all behind her and we was all taking it serious, and it made her up a game.
John, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of other things before I could bring it back to yourself. Big rematch coming up very, very soon. That is Usyk versus Anthony Joshua. Two lot to talk about what each fighter has to do to get the win. But what are your thoughts on that fight?
Joe, I'd love to see the Brit win. I'd love to see AJ bring it back and then potentially have a Fury fight down the line. Do you know what I mean? For all the belts. But realistically, I think maybe Usyk might have his number. I think if AJ's to fight it like in this next fight, he's got to really stick it on him. He's got to show his dominance. He's got to show how heavy he is. And listen, let's be honest. It's heavyweight boxing. It's a puncher's chance, and AJ can bang as you can see all through his other fights. So I think it's one of them ones. If he can start quick, start fast, and dictate the pace, it'll beat Usyk. But whether it'll happen, I'm not sure.
Lots and lots of rumours going around about a potential Ben versus Eubank Jr. legacy fight. Legacy fight indeed, with the fathers fighting beforehand. Mark has made comment as well about it on Twitter too. What's your take on that one?
Do you know what? I think them two boys should get it on personally, because it's going to make an absolute fortune. The boys are, in my opinion, I don't know a lot of things, but I reckon that they'll earn more money out of this sort of fight than they will in their whole career, because of how big of a fight it is. It's people who don't know boxing, but from the 80s, they know their dads. And it's like, oh, you know what? We'll flip the telly on, we'll watch that, or we'll go watch them. It makes non-boxing fans kind of interested again because of how much of a great their dads were. But being healthy about things, I can't see Chris Eubanks pulling down to 156. I think it's just too much of a... He was a big... I didn't think he was a small super middleweight. When he was actually boxing at super middle, he didn't look small. And then he went to middleweight, obviously. And I don't think he ever looked small at the weight. And now you're going to drop another 2 weight divisions again. It's massive. And it might... I think if he does drop the weight, I honestly believe if he's at 156, Conor Ben beats him for the simple reason that Conor will have the strength. I think he'll be weak at the weight, but it'll all be to see.
Let's jump to the light heavyweight division, the division that you're in. Some British interest and potential fights that could be made. First of all, I want to start with the same matchroom stable in the form of Joshua Buatsi, who might be jumping in with Dimitri Bivol. What are your thoughts on that one too?
Buatsi is a great fighter. I think he's great technically, very defensive fighter. Obviously being on the card twice actually out of my 6 fights. So I've been rounding quite a bit on fight nights and fight week. Great fighter, great personality. I do believe Bivol maybe is a step too soon, especially coming off Bivol's last performance. He was unbelievable against Canelo. But however, if you look at the Richards Bivol fight, you'd say Buatsi would win. So I think it all depends what Bivol you see and what Buatsi you see. If he fights the best fight of his life, he'll beat him.
The other side of the British interest is Arthur Beterbiev, who could be jumping in with Anthony Yarde there. Your thoughts on that one as well?
But Beterbiev is probably, I think, in my opinion, he's my favourite in the division. I think he's an absolute animal. Personally, I think he can move up the cruiser and kill most people. Like, I think he's a great fighter, unbelievably strong. If you look back at the amateurs, he even dropped Usyk, and he's just an all-round great fighter, in my opinion. Even I think he boxed Joe Smith Jr. not too long ago, and absolutely detonated him, didn't he? So I think Beterbiev is the one to be stay clear of, personally.
Bringing this back to you then, you talked about Mark and Mark being realistic for your goals and Mark being realistic with your training and things. What's the dynamic like between you and Mark in terms of where he wants you to get to next?
Me and Tibbsy, we have a great connection, mate. It's like he has to slow me down sometimes. Like, in my head, I want to push, but I understand that I'm only young, got a lot of years in this sport, and you can't force it. It's all got to happen naturally, and it's all got to be right timings. So with Mark, the main thing with him is he always says to me, I've got rounds in me. When I'm sparring for a 6 rounder, I can do 10 rounds straight off. It's never been a problem, fitness, touch wood. I've always been in shape, and my fitness has been great. So it's not going through the rounds which scares Mark. It's more just being ready at the right time and having the right definition and strength and body type to be in the big weights. Because I do believe I'm going to move into a cruiserweight, but it's all about timing, like I say.
Timing, like you say, and like you mentioned, and soon will be your time to step through the ring and fight again. For people who are going to be watching you when you do step through the ring, what can they expect to see from you in your next outing?
An explosive performance, and please God, a show real knockout. We're training hard, and I feel stronger. I honestly mean that. Every fight, I feel getting stronger in myself, and hopefully just got to land that backhand again, and it'll be over. So yeah, training hard, be a harder opponent, harder fight, but we're ready for it.
John, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. A gentleman, John Hedges, a gentleman indeed. Thank you so much for speaking to Boxing Social, and we'll catch up soon.
Take care, mate. Thank you very much.